Hi, I'm Jay Yelas, the 2002 Classic Champ, Bass Angler of the Year, FLW Angler of the Year 2 times, '02 and '07. And I'm here today to talk about a real bad day on the water. In fact, it was the worst I've ever been schooled by a co-angler in the back of my boat. And you know, on the FLW tour, we have co-anglers. And it happens to everybody, you know, but this is the worst day I'd ever had in my boat in 26 years as a pro. So it was 2009. We're at Lake Guntersville, February, opening day of the 2009 tour, and I found some good fish at the mouth of Browns Creek on those hydrilla flats, you know, and cranking. So I run out there first morning of the tournament, and we're fishing red lipless crankbaits out there, you know, winding them over the top of the weeds. And then my partner caught 26 pounds that morning before I had my first bite. I mean, that's true, a true story. I've never had that happen to me. The fish were biting red half-ounce lipless crankbaits. And you know, I've done a lot of that. I used to live in Texas. Sam Rayburn, red rattle trap, capital of the world, right? And so in my tackle box, I've got like 8 different brands of half-ounce red lipless crankbaits. Well, it turns out my co-angler that day was using a brand that I didn't even have. He was using I think it was some off-brand that I've never even heard of. Like, he got them at the dollar store, I think, for 99 cents a piece. And I've got all these, you know, all these different brands. Some of these Japanese ones that cost me $25 each, and all these great American-made ones. And you name it, I had it in my tackle box, and I'm tying different ones on, and he's catching them, big ones, and I'm tying something else on that's kind of like his, and he still keeps catching them, and I can't get a bite. And finally, he had like an 8-pounder and a couple 6s, and he finally got 26 pounds, and I dipped his 5th keeper, and he's put it in the live well, and I said, hey, I didn't even bother to ask him if I could borrow his lure or not. I just grabbed his rod and lure, and I started casting, man. And I finally caught a 5-pounder on his plug. He said, what are you doing? You got my rod. I said, you darn right I got your rod and your bait. You got me down 26 pounds to nothing. It's my turn to catch one. So anyway, finally, I just cut his lure off, his rod, and tied it on my own rod and started fishing. But I did catch a 5-pounder on his plug, but that was the only one I caught that day. He schooled me, man. 26 pounds for him in his live well, 1 fish for 5 pounds in my live well. I'll never forget that day. I don't know what it was, but I can tell you that off-brand red rattle trap he bought at the dollar store, I went out and bought about 2 dozen the next day, and I've never caught one on one since. It's crazy. It's a great game that we play, and stuff like that happens to everybody. It happened to me that day in February 2009, Lake Guntersville.